Sidurim bevakasha. Toda Rabbah. Rabbi Weiner will be in just a moment with the other students as they're coming in. But in the meanwhile, we're going to begin with Amud. You got it. We're going to begin with Amud Shtaim Vishmona. I'm not saying that right. Shtaim Vishmona. No. Esrim Vishmona. I'm having a moment. We're starting on page 28, Amud Esrim Vishmona, and we're going to begin with the Baruch together. Na lakum, let us rise. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. As we turn the page, we imagine that we are moving between day and night. As we move between day and night. And so on page 30, we see the Hebrew that begins, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, and then these words, Asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, who speaks the evening into being. What a neat way of saying it. And as we're thinking about God speaking the evening into being, we can think about the text of Rabbi Noam Katz. Roll into dark, roll into light. That's it. Night becomes day. Come on up, helpers. Day turns to night. Who else wants to do it? Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Toda Rabbah. Thank you so much. We're going to continue on page 34 with Shema. Continuing on page 34 with Shema. So we continue to stand. I know some people were like, wait, we were standing between Baruch Hu and Shema, and in some congregations, they keep standing. And in some congregations, they sit in between. And in some congregations, they stand and sit and stand. And all of them are correct. So we continue on with Shema on Amud 34 on page 34. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Ya la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Ya la la, ya la 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 la. Ya la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Ya la la, la 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 la. Baruch Shem Kevod Malachuto Leolam, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malachuto Leolam, Leolam Va'ed. Ya la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Ya la la, la 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 la. Ya la la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Ya la la, la 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 la. Na Shevet, please be seated. You know, sometimes when I'm saying Shema and I close my eyes, I also cover my eyes. Some people just close their eyes. Some people cover their eyes and close their eyes. And some people cover their eyes but leave their eyes open. Because they're different minhagim, they're different traditions and customs that we have. Sometimes when we're praying, sometimes people will cover their eyes to block out all of what's surrounding us, sort of all the chaos of the outer world. They can focus only on the text. And some people like to close their eyes so they're not disturbed by anything visual, and all they're thinking about is hearing that Shema, that sound of Shema, which comes from lishmoa, to hear, to hearken, to listen. And that idea of listening, of hearing, of hearkening, of bringing it back, sometimes we can do that. For some learners, they really just need to close their eyes, block out all the visual, and hear. And for some people, they want to be able to just focus in right on the text. And different people need to learn and experience it in different ways. And that's something I've always appreciated about Judaism, that we can experience the prayer in all different ways. So as we turn the page to Shloshim V'Shesh, to page 36, we're going to continue on now with this prayer, Ve'ahavta. And Ve'ahavta is one of my favorite prayers because it's got some cool stuff. Have you ever noticed that Ve'ahavta has extra stuff on the physical page? Look with your eyes for a minute. On page 36. Do you notice that the Hebrew, there's like extra dots, extra squiggles, extra line things and dot things and things that look like all different shapes? Now, some of you are thinking, wait a minute, Maura Marla, those are vowels, right? How many of you were like, Marla, that's vowels? Like, I see lots of vowels I recognize, but what if you see things you don't recognize? How many people see something on the page that doesn't look familiar? I know, we have, third grade, teach us, third grade. Tell me, what do you see? What are those lines and squiggles? Well, sure, nothing looks familiar, but does anyone know what are some of these lines and squiggles? Yes. They are marks. In fact, some people call them cantillation marks. I see. Yes. Please enlighten us. Of course, Mr. Krasnowski. It is trope. Did maybe an amazing Rabbi Weiner teach you about this incredible thing called trope? Yeah, perhaps. So for the rest of you, one of the reasons I like it is because you see these cool lines and squiggly things called trope. Sometimes trope is also called cantillation marks, and sometimes trope is also called ta'ameh hamikra. Ta'ameh hamikra. And these little lines and symbols, they tell us not only how do I sing this? It's an ancient way of telling me, how do I chant this? How do I sing it? But it also tells me more important things like where the punctuation marks are and where the syllabic stress is. How do I read this and know what I'm reading? So all these hidden messages hiding here in these words about loving God with everything that we are. Loving God with all of everything that makes us up, our hearts, our souls, our whole beings. So we're going to chant right now at the top of page 36. And if you're in third grade and fourth grade, that's okay. You will start to familiarize yourself with the way it sounds. Right now, it just sounds like lots of things. But eventually, our job as your teachers is to get those sounds to start to make sense in pieces and letters and syllables and chunks. So we're going to sing together, chant together, Ve'ahavta, with the ta'ameh hamikra, the cantillation marks, starting on page 36 at the top. Let's do it together. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha Uvechol meodecha, vehayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi metzavecha, hayom alevavecha, veshinantam nevanecha, vedibarta bam, Beshivtecha bevetecha, uvlachtecha vaderech, uvshochbecha, uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu letotafot beineinecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, Uvisharecha. Pause for 1 second. Does anyone know why do we sing a different melody right there? Does anyone have an educated guess why we sing a sof sof pasuk right there? Educated guess. Winston, you have an educated guess? You're totally correct, Winston. That's right. The dots, first of all, tell me, Merchat Tipcha Sof Pasuk. It tells me that I'm ending my sentence. What about visually on the page? Why do you think the authors of the Siddur might have separated these two paragraphs? The answer is hiding on the page, if you can be a detective. Why separate these two paragraphs? Why make a different sound to close out the first paragraph? It sort of cues us. Why, though? What do we think? Yeah. Because there's a space, you're right. Why do you think the authors of the Siddur made a space? Why? Yes. Good. Okay, so yes, thinking from an English perspective, from a writing perspective, they're talking about two different concepts. So there's a paragraph break, sure. Two separate concepts. The top paragraph talking about loving God with all of our might and our heart and our souls, and not just loving God, but putting these words, the Shema, that we're supposed to hear God and love God, we're supposed to put them in mezuzot, on the doorposts of our house, and in tefillin, on our hands and between our eyes. But then we get a different idea, different concepts. And you should remember to observe all my commandments. But who can be a detective and tell me why? Why two paragraphs? Why a different melody to end the first paragraph? What does that tell our ears that something is different? Why? What do you think? What do you guess? Sophie, you got a guess? No? That's all right. Anyone? Yeah? It does, absolutely. Okay. Does anyone want a hint? You want a hint? The answer is below the light blue line. Notice the light blue line at the bottom? The answer is below. Does anyone have a guess as why these paragraphs are separated? Sasha, what do you think? For those who choose. After that, keep looking. Yes. Bingo! Woo! Did you hear? The correct answer is because they're from two different places in the Torah. The first paragraph is from the book of Deuteronomy, the last book in the Torah. And the second paragraph is from the book of Numbers, a book that actually comes before Deuteronomy. Two different books. But the authors of the Siddur, the authors of this prayer thought, these ideas are connected. So what's connected about these two ideas? If the first paragraph is talking all about love and loving God with everything that we are, and it's so important, we have to tell people about it. We're supposed to put it on our houses, on our gates. We're supposed to put it on our bodies so that we remember. What is the second paragraph all about? What is this paragraph? Lema'an tizkeru. What is this paragraph about? Look in the English. What is it saying? Tizkeru, from the same shoresh as yizkor, from the same shoresh as zecher, to remember, lizkor, to remember. Why is God saying we should remember? What are we supposed to remember? What's the big memo? Yeah. You got it. We're supposed to remember these commandments. All of these commandments. Why? Why are we supposed to remember these commandments? Why? What's the point? Why should we remember? The answer's in the next sentence. Why should we remember? I don't know. Why should we do all these commandments? What does doing the commandments allow us to become? Yes. Yes. How? Brilliant. So if you go into the third sentence, you kept reading, you were smart. If you go into the third sentence, it says, I am Adonai your God. Not just any Adonai your God, but the God, Adonai your God, that brought you out of Egypt, that brought you from the narrow place to be your God. Because when we were slaves, we couldn't make decisions for ourselves. We couldn't choose to follow God's commandments. We didn't have a choice. But when we were a free people, suddenly we had choice. And when we choose, God is saying we have to remember to choose to be what in the second sentence? Second sentence, second paragraph, what are we choosing to be? Holy. Bingo! We are choosing to be holy. Whoa. What in the world does that mean? We are choosing to be holy, to be sanctified, to be made holy. That's a question for your teachers to consider as we go on through the year. Not enough time to answer it in this tefillah, but we have to think about that. Maybe the next time I lead tefillah, we'll have to think about that. What does that mean? What does it mean to remember all these things so that we can be holy? What does it mean to be holy? We'll have to discuss that for another time. In the meantime, we're going to chant that second paragraph right now, and it's food for thought to think about. Chant with me. Second paragraph. Here we are. L'man tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim l'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti atchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem l'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. Whoa, did you know that was even there? That last line, look at the very bottom. The last three words of Hebrew. Adonai Elohechem emet. Adonai is our God, a God of truth. More things to contemplate and think about the next time I have the privilege of leading you in tefillah. Okay, my lovely 3rd through 7th graders, it was wonderful to be with you for this tefillah. When you come back on Sunday, there will be all sorts of neat things happening. I hope you have a chance to visit the sukkah. You're welcome to visit with your family. If your family happened to have received the Chadashot, the school news, you know you all have a personal invitation to come to my house in Deerfield and visit my sukkah. I know not all of you will probably be able to make it, but you're all invited to my house, to my sukkah on Saturday for a sukkah visit and a little bit of Havdalah. If your parents can make it, I hope you'll come. In the meantime, please carefully take your Sidurim, your Sidur, place them with the spines facing out on our bookshelves. Toda Rabbah, and I will see you on Sunday or maybe Saturday at the party.